By the time you're 30, you should have been in your dream job or started your dream business and you are already thriving. By the time you're 30, you should have been married or at least in a very serious relationship. By the time you're 30, you should be financially independent. By the time you're 30, you should have at least had one kid. By the time you're 30, you should have had your whole life sorted out. You should have made it. These are all the societal expectations for young people before the age of 30. It's like somebody put a benchmark on 30 and like once you get to 30 and you haven't achieved all of this, then something is wrong with you. And my darling, I'm here to tell you that the only thing you should be worried about by the time you turn 30 is that you're still alive and you are in good health. And that is all that matters. Because oftentimes, what we do as people is we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, unnecessary pressure. We try to meet up with these societal standards and societal benchmarks, even though it is detrimental to us. So now let's unpack it, right? By the time you're 30, you should have your whole career figured out. You should have been in the right career path. You should have been thriving in your career. But please, in your 20s, when everything is trial and error, a lot of people get into the labor market in their late 20s or in their mid 20s. There are some people that have delayed education. There are some people that have early education, and so they are lucky enough to get into the labor market in their early 20s. But it's not the same, it's not the case for everybody, right? Now, in your 20s, even at the time when you get into the labor market or the time you start that business, everything is trial and error. Everything is about learning. Everything is about evolving because there's no deadline to growth. Even people in their 40s, they still pivot. They still learn, they still grow. I've seen people that started a business in their 40s or people that even got into the labor market in their 40s and they're thriving. The problem is, as young people, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves and then we allow society to dictate the timelines of our life. But if you actually block out the noise and just take your time, explore in your 20s, try out new things, be very open to learning because trust me, nobody grows without learning, without trying, without failing, without implementing what they have learned. That is the process. As to whether there is a timeline before you clock 30 or not, you don't need that kind of pressure. You don't need to put yourself under that kind of unnecessary pressure. I call it unnecessary because why? Right? So, my dear, I'm here to tell you that you don't have to have your whole career figured out by the time you're 30. Now, by the time you're 30, you should be in a serious relationship, or at least you should have been married. Now, this has pushed a lot of people into abyss. This has pushed a lot of people into desperation that has cost them their lives. Emotional maturity, emotional stability, emotional intelligence. These are the things that you cultivate over time. And in your 20s is the time you cultivate these things. There is no deadline and there is no benchmark to finding a life partner or being coupled up with somebody else. The most important thing is that you are able to regulate yourself in such a way that even when you eventually meet someone, you are able to retain them. You're able to do what needs to be done to keep the relationship intact. There is no deadline. You don't have to rush. You don't have to put yourself under pressure. You don't have to be desperate for anything because people that have been desperate for marriage or relationship because they are listening to society to tell them, oh, because you're 30, oh my God, because you're 30, you don't have a man or you don't have a woman, something is wrong with you. Go and ask them what they have seen because their eyes have actually seen things that they cannot open their mouths to tell you. All right. So I think that in your 20s, leading to your 30s, the most important thing is to develop yourself. Self awareness, growth, emotional intelligence is something that you have to be very conscious about. Emotional maturity. So that peradventure you now meet someone who is compatible with you, you are able to do what needs to be done to keep the relationship intact. So, my darling, you don't have to be married or in a serious relationship by the time you turn 30. That is not the goal. There is no deadline to find a life partner. And that is what you should put at the back of your mind. Period. Now, by the time you're 30, you should be financially stable. You should be financially independent. My dear, there is no deadline again to financial independence. There's a lot of things that goes into being financially independent. The economy, access, literacy, consistency, These are the things that people put in place for them to be able to attain financial independence. In your 20s, you are experimenting, you're trying, you're failing, you are trying again, you're picking yourself up, you are applying or implementing the lessons you have learned from your past failures, right? These are all the things that make up the process to financial independence, and there is no cap to it. Do you understand? Like, there's no benchmark. They didn't say, oh, by the time you're 30, you've not made it something. Once you allow that kind of mindset to become a part of you, then you find out that you're stifling your growth, right? There is no timeline and there's no benchmarking. I heard a story about Steve Harvey when he said that in his late 30s, he was still sleeping in his car because he was broke. And that is the story for a lot of people. There are people that started successful businesses in their 40s and they hit the jackpot in their 50s. They became financially stable in their 50s. And that is to tell you that every other thing that we allow to stress us out, they are all self imposed. They are all from the external environment. That is what I talked about in my last video when I said the focus should be on yourself. Because if you allow society, if you allow external noise to determine the trajectory of your life, you are only going to make mistakes. The most important thing is you have enough money to sustain yourself. You work hard enough. You put in the work. You put in resilience. You are consistent in what you're doing. That is enough. As to when you will become financially stable to a point where you are competing with the creme de la creme, there's no timeline to it. It can happen in your 20s, it can happen in your 30s, it can happen in your 40s. I have a friend that went back to nursing school and she's 35. By the time she graduates, she would be 37 or 38. And that is when she wants to start her career in nursing. Because there is no benchmark, there is no deadline to anything. The only time that you feel there is a deadline is because you have infiltrated your brain with noise, external noise. You are not focusing on yourself and your journey. Realizing the peculiarity of your journey would help you get ahead in life. There are people that are privileged. I said that in my last video. There are people that are privileged and they're able to get ahead in life. But if you keep looking at them and keep comparing yourself to them, the only thing you are doing is that you are narrowing your path to growth, because you don't need to compare yourself to anyone, because you are unique just the way you are and your journey is unique. All right. So being financially independent and financially stable is not something that there's a cap to. It can happen at any point of your life. Like I said, what matters is putting in the work, being consistent, having access to the right people, building your network, learning, growing, failing and trying again, never giving up, having a growth mindset, personal development, self awareness. Listen, all of this put together and then actually going through the process, of course it will happen. Financial independence, financial stability, it would happen. Trust me. So this video is just to encourage somebody. Okay, there is no deadline to anything. Everything that you're feeling, any kind of pressure you are feeling is self-imposed. And you need to take a step back and ask yourself, why am I hurting myself? Why am I putting so much pressure on myself? Why? And once you ask yourself that question and then you answer yourself, because I don't have to do this. Like, why? Recognize the process, recognize the success that you have achieved so far. If you look back 5 years ago or 10 years ago and look at where you are right now, you appreciate your journey and then you forecast, you make plans for the future. What do I want to do? How do I want to do it? What do I need to achieve the things that I want to achieve? If you're able to put that or piece that together, and then just get on the road, start your journey. Start. Start. And that's all that matters. And once you start, remain consistent. And that, I tell you, is all that matters. Take care of yourself. Be healthy. Do what you need to do. Show up. Don't give up. These are every things that we hear every day. And it's always like, oh, somebody is sounding like a broken record. But trust me, these are the necessary words that you need to tell yourself every single day. Don't put pressure on yourself. There is no deadline to success. The only thing that matters is that you are alive and you're trying. And that is more than enough. Thank you so very much for watching. And you guys, like I always say, this channel is all about positivity, it's all about personal development, it's all about growth, it's all about self-awareness and self-development. Okay, so do not forget to subscribe and turn on notification bell because I'll be posting new videos every single week. And you can also be a part of the conversation by dropping your comments in the comment section and we can interact from there. All right, so I'll see you at the next one, and please take care of yourself and don't be too harsh on yourself. Bye.